Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to unpack a really interesting strategic play happening in Web3.
Yeah, it centers around KunaiKash, a project on the Klever chain.
Right, and its connection to this, well, innovative platform called Flagship.
And for this deep dive, we've pulled together insights from, a few places, announcements from KunaiKash itself,
Okay.
articles from blockroar.com, and also the documentation from flagship.fyi.
Got it. So our mission really is to figure out the details of this KunaiKash investment in Flagship. Understand what Flagship is actually building, how this impacts KunaiKash holders, the KunaiKash token.
And crucially, why this could be, well, pretty significant for the whole Klever chain ecosystem.
Exactly.
And just a quick note on timing, there was this change KunaiKash made to revenue distributions.
Yeah, tied to the investment.
Right. The first monthly distribution under that new schedule was July 15th, 2024.
So we're actually looking at something that's been in place for, what, almost a year now?
Precisely. Keep that time frame in mind as we go.
Okay, let's get into it then. Let's start with KunaiKash. Where does it sit on the Klever chain? The sources seem to paint it as like a pretty consistent performer.
Yeah, that's the picture you get. Utility-focused, consistent. Their stated goal from the get-go is building a sustainable token economy.
Sustainable how?
Well, powered by real utility community incentives,
Right.
not just another hype token.
And they've got numbers to back that up, according to the sources. Something about revenue distribution?
Yeah, over $31,847 distributed. And they specifically call it real revenue sent to their staking community.
Okay, real revenue. What does that actually mean in this context? Is it just training fees or?
No, that's the key thing from their materials. It's supposed to come from like external services, platform operations, not just token volume or inflation rewards. So revenue from actual activity happening outside the token itself.
Right, so it's coming from somewhere tangible, feeding back in.
That makes sense.
Yeah, shows an external value stream.
And they also did that big token burn. 2 million KunaiKash tokens. Marked the end of their first phase, apparently. And they're currently offering a 20% APR staking period, too.
So tangible actions, managing supply, rewarding holders based on that generated revenue. It seems like they're, actively building.
Exactly. And doing it on Klever Chain, which, prove projects can thrive there, even if it's not the biggest name network.
Yeah, showing capability on that specific chain matters.
Okay, let's switch gears to Flagship then. What are they bringing?
So Flagship, based on their docs and the articles, is all about building AI-managed crypto portfolios.
AI-managed portfolios. Interesting.
And their vision is clearly mass adoption. That's why they're going mobile first in their design.
Okay, mass adoption focus. And the tech behind it, you mentioned AI, something about a crypto brain.
Yeah, that's their core tech. Described as using autonomous AI managers, adaptive learning, pulls in real-time data.
So like a 247 AI strategist for your crypto.
That's the idea, constantly analyzing, making decisions.
Okay, where can people see this in action now? Is there anything live? Right now, they have a crypto prediction mini app, and it runs on Telegram.
A Telegram mini app, how does that work?
Users predict the best performer each day from 4 cryptos.
And who picks the 4 cryptos?
Ah, that's the AI again. It picks them based on social buzz.
Social buzz from where?
This is pretty unique, according to them. They say it's sourced from over 20,000 Telegram public channels.
Wow, 20,000. That's a huge data set for sentiment.
Yeah, leveraging that real-time chatter. That data feeds the game and presumably their future portfolio decisions, too.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
And what powers this whole Flagship system? Is there a token?
Yes, their native token is FYI. The sources say its utilities are designed to make the whole thing self-sustaining, demand tied to using the platform.
And I saw something about regulation. They're thinking about that early.
They mention aiming to align with standards like the EU's MiCA framework.
MiCA, that's the big European crypto regulation package, right?
Exactly, aimed at clarity, investor protection. Mentioning it suggests they're building with compliance in mind.
What about funding? Are they backed by big VCs?
It's a bit nuanced in the sources. They mention support from industry leaders, crypto venture partners.
Okay.
But they also clarify they don't have traditional VC equity investors.
Oh, so how are they funded then?
Through token sales. They held them in 2022 and 2024. And they say they have around 100 token holders from those sales.
Interesting. So funded more directly by their token community, not big institutional rounds.
Seems like it. Rooted in the token ecosystem from the start.
Okay, so we've got KunaiKash on Klever Chain, solid revenue sharing, and Flagship, this AI platform aiming big. Now, KunaiKash invests in Flagship. What was the deal there?
The main announcement was KunaiKash making a significant long-term investment in Flagship.
And specifically, they bought Flagship's FYI token.
Correct. And this is important. The sources stress the investment is initially locked.
Locked. Okay. So they put capital in but can't touch it right away.
Yeah.
What was KunaiKash's goal with this move, strategically speaking?
Well, their stated goals were, 1, strengthen their own finances, and 2, enhance the long-term value of the KunaiKash token for their holders.
Right, so it's framed as a way to give KunaiKash holders like indirect exposure to Flagship's potential.
Exactly that, positioning them for what KunaiKash sees as a promising launch in the Web3 investment tech space.
And the potential upside is if Flagship does well.
If the Flagship TGE, the token generation event, when the token launches properly goes well, the returns on KunaiKash's locked investment could mean a, major revenue boost back into KunaiKash.
Which would then flow to their stakers and potentially help the KunaiKash token price.
That's the theory. It fits their model, build revenue from performance and smart investments, not just hype.
So it's a bet on Flagship's future performance, creating real value for KunaiKash holders.
Precisely.
Okay, but what did this mean for KunaiKash holders immediately when the investment happened?
The most direct impact was that change in the revenue distribution schedule we mentioned.
Right. From biweekly to monthly.
Yes, and the reason they gave.
Let me guess. The lock-in period.
Exactly. Necessary to accommodate the fact that the investment capital wasn't liquid. The timing required adjusting the payout frequency.
So the move to monthly payouts was a direct result of the locked investment.
Yep.
And like we said, that started July 15th, 2024. So it's been the norm for almost a year.
Correct. And they did commit to being transparent about it, giving updates on the investment's progress.
So the trade-off was less frequent payouts in the short term.
For the potential of enhanced long-term value and maybe more sustainable returns later on, assuming the Flagship bet pays off.
Got it. It's a strategic patience play.
Seems like it.
Let's dig into that FYI token a bit more. What does it actually do inside Flagship?
Okay, so the FYI token basically functions like a premium membership pass.
Membership tiers.
Yeah, different tiers based on how much FYI you hold.
And holding more gets you lower fees.
Lower fees, exactly. Across Flagship's products. Plus, holders get access to exclusive market insights, some social features, and those advanced AI tools.
They can stake it too.
Yep. Staking FYI is mentioned for earning extra rewards. And it also gives you a say in governance, voting on Flagship's future direction.
Okay, so lots of utility built in. How does Flagship plan to keep the token valuable?
Their thinking, based on the docs, is that value comes from user engagement.
Makes sense.
The more people use the platform and its features, the more demand there should be for FYI. Because of all those benefits, it unlocks the lower fees, the tools, etc. Utility drives demand.
Right. And how do people actually get FYI? Can they earn it?
Yes, through participation. Playing the games on the platform, the portfolio game, the prediction game. Performance there contributes to what they call a future FYI airdrop allocation at TGE.
Airdrip, not airdrop. Is that different?
Yeah, they specifically make that distinction. Airdrop isn't just a free handout. It's targeted at active players, engaged community members.
Performance-based.
Right, higher rewards for top contributors. So it's tied to actual engagement, not just holding some other token.
Okay, that's a clear difference. What about Flagship's plans for growth? Marketing, community.
They mention expanding marketing, development, community support. They say they're open to community involvement, sharing insights via posts.
And they're sticking with Telegram as their main platform.
Seems so. The sources say Telegram is their main focus, no current plans mentioned for Discord.
Okay. And one last thing on Flagship security. How are they handling user data?
They say it's a priority. One key aspect mentioned is minimizing data storage.
How so?
They apparently only store Telegram IDs as user references. They explicitly state they don't store other personal info.
So reduce the risk by just not holding the sensitive stuff in the first place.
That seems to be the strategy, yeah.
Okay, so summing up. KunaiKash on Klever Chain, building steadily, sharing revenue. They make a strategic locked investment in Flagship, this AI platform using Telegram, aiming for mass adoption with its FYI token. Why does this whole thing matter specifically for the Klever Chain?
Well, Klever Chain, as the sources suggest, hasn't always had the visibility of, say, Ethereum or Solana. It's capable, but maybe less explored.
Right. And KunaiKash is kind of providing a proof point, showing that you can build solid, revenue-generating projects there.
Exactly. They're bringing a working model to the chain revenue sharing community focus. That's important to show its viability beyond just hype projects.
And their tokenomics, the burns, the APY that sets a standard too.
It sets a precedent for responsible building on that network, yeah.
So then this flagship investment, it's almost like KunaiKash is building a bridge, isn't it?
How do you mean?
Well, Flagship is designed for mass adoption using Telegram. It could bring new eyes, maybe new users, maybe even liquidity towards the Klever ecosystem, even if Flagship isn't directly built on Klever Chain.
Ah, I see. Yeah, it's a way of potentially channeling external attention and capital into the Klever chain conversation via KunaiKash's success.
Right. It becomes strategic for the chain itself.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
KunaiKash does well, and especially if that flagship investment pays off after TGE.
It makes a really strong case study. It could genuinely encourage other builders and investors who might have overlooked Klever chain before.
To see it as a place where, utility-driven projects can actually work and innovate.
Yeah, it could make them take a second look.
Feels like KunaiKash is using its own traction to make a smart bet elsewhere and potentially lift its home chain in the process.
It's that cross-ecosystem synergy, potentially benefiting the whole network.
So quite a journey we've taken then.
Mm-hmm.
From KunaiKash's base and model on Klever Chain.
Through that strategic, locked investment in Flagship, the shift to monthly distributions, which is, almost a year old now.
To what it could mean long-term for KunaiKash holders and this potential boost in visibility for Klever Chain itself.
Yeah, understanding these kinds of specific, calculated moves is pretty key in Web3 right now, especially when projects are trying to build real utility and maybe shine a light on less hype ecosystems like Klever Chain.
So here's something to think about. Could these kinds of strategic investments, where a project on one chain invests in a promising venture, maybe on another platform, or with cross-chain appeal, could that become a new way to drive growth, a new model for attracting attention to maybe overlooked networks like Klever Chain?
What does this kind of strategy tell us about where real value and, genuine innovation might be hiding in the market away from the main spotlight? Definitely something worth pondering.